What is the crack, folks? Welcome along to another episode of the Gym Advisors podcast. By God, it's been a while. And to come back like this, we have to have a cracker of a guest, and I'm lucky that that's what we have. Today, I'm joined by Julianne Mead. Julianne, how the hell are you?
I'm good. I'm grand. Delighted to be here this morning.
Good. We were kind of had the podcast on hiatus, and we were thinking we need to have someone really good. That I'm really interested in your business model and how you work and the kind of types of people you work with. So that's why we brought this back. But look, in that introduction, I was kind of hemming and hawing about saying your business name, simply because I think it's really cool. So tell us a little bit about Julianne Mead. Tell us a little bit about Barbells and Babiez. How very briefly, what's brought you to this point, and we kind of dive in deeper to it after that, you know?
Perfect, yeah. The business is Barbells and Babiez. Everybody absolutely loves the name when they hear it. They think it's so original. I suppose I started the business when I had my first baby, Jackson. And I felt quite lost in a fitness industry during my pregnancy and early postpartum. I wasn't entirely sure what was safe or what wasn't safe to do. And any professionals I reached out to for help, it was all very scaled back as to my own fitness level, coming from a background of lifting weights 5 times a week, CrossFit style training, to go then to doing a bodyweight program for 15 minutes for me was just not mentally and physically enough for me. But again, I had to scale back my own style of training. So after I had Jackson, I decided I would actually do the course myself for pre and postnatal training. I just wanted to know more about it for my own self as well as helping others. And then I started the Instagram page called Barbells and Babiez, which is pretty self-explanatory in the title. And women just, as soon as I said I was starting to take clients, women were like, yes, I want to know what you're doing. Will you program for me? And yeah, it just really took off from there. I suppose a lot of women resonated with the fact you're trying to balance your home life, your exercise, prioritize yourself, but equally have a balance throughout your lifestyle. And that's really what I promote through Barbells and Babiez.
It's class. And I do want to dive deeper into kind of that programming, because it's really interesting that you're saying that, like, as soon as somebody heard you were pregnant, it was like, oh, don't touch her, bring it back, like, don't do anything. It was very softly, and obviously you need to find a balance in that. But I want to go back. You were obviously incredibly into sport, into fitness and CrossFit, and you talked about, what did fitness and health and all that sort of stuff play in your early life growing up? Were you always that way, or was it something you came to later?
So no, it wasn't. Early in my life, in my childhood, I was very into sport and very into exercise. We were in possibly every after school activity known to man, and we kept very active. But I was always a heavy child. I always struggled with my weight from an early age right up until possibly my early 20s. Really struggled throughout my life to manage my weight, and very much viewed exercise, especially as a teenager growing up in rural Ireland, as something that was a weight loss tool and not as something that was there to actually benefit my overall life and my overall mindset as well. So I suppose I had kind of a turbulent relationship with food during my teens and growing up. Lot of fad diets, tried them all. Pretty sure I think every female has tried a Slimming World or the soup diet or some fad that was like lose 7 pounds in 2 days. So, tried all them, tried and tested, and eventually I just came to a point in my life not even wanting to lose weight. I just felt like I'm fed up of feeling like this. Was just fed up of the feeling of negative body image and like low self-worth. So then I got into exercise and got into particularly weightlifting. I had always done kind of HIIT classes here and there, or walking, jogging, kind of anything cardio. But when I got into the weightlifting, that's when I seen the true change in my overall body, my composition. I started to learn more about my nutrition, like balancing out my meals, hitting protein intake, which I think for most women anyway is a struggle because we're unsure where you even get the protein from. Um, so for me, that was a huge thing. And when I reached pregnancy, I felt so physically good in myself
Yeah.
that my first initial thought when I heard I was pregnant, which is a normal assumption, I think, in this country, is that, oh God, I'm going to gain so much weight during this pregnancy and then I have to bring it back down again. And look, it's a challenge, and it's a natural thing. So it definitely changed my relationship with the scale to see it go up and not be, oh my God, like I'm gaining weight. This is the worst thing ever. I knew it was for something better than me.
But it's crazy that like even in a world where we talk about body positivity and like being happy with body image, that when we get like news, whether it's usually good news, in fairness, maybe not always that the people are pregnant, that it's a completely and utterly natural thing, and all of a sudden we're still thinking, or even then we're still thinking, the weight is going to go up, and then I have to bring it all the way down. When like even then you're thinking about the pressure that you're going to put on yourself. It's a scary world that's kind of how we think, you know. I'm interested though. Yeah. You talked a little bit there about having gone through the fad diets and trying everything, and then finding weightlifting. What was there a moment? Was there a time? Was there a person who kind of guided you towards this is what can help you? And there was a light bulb, or did you just kind of stumble into it? Like, how did you make that switch over?
I suppose it was my brother, in a sense. My brother is hugely and was always hugely into his fitness and nutrition. And he studied sports science and health. And I suppose I felt so comfortable to reach out to him to ask him for help. Now, his help to me was very general, and he simplified it down, as I do for clients, that it didn't seem unachievable to me. And because my initial goal wasn't weight loss, it was just like feel better, I got such an understanding of like my maintenance calories, my ins and outs, and how I could eat for recovery in the gym, and how I was eating for working out to fuel my body. Like it totally shifted the perspective on working out to lose weight to working out to actually build muscle, gain strength and decrease body fat. So that perspective for me it just changed my whole outlook on exercise and fitness and balancing it into your life, really.
It sounds like you kind of got there a little bit on your own as well though before that. So when you're coming to your brother and asking him for help, it's for happiness, it's for general health improvements, as you might call it, or whatever, rather than to lose weight. Like, that's a very mature thing to have reached on your own, because it's one of our main goals is to try and help people feel better rather than just to lose weight, because everyone has different goals or whatever. And lose weight is such a general one. It comes from such a strange place. It's hard for you to kind of balance whether it's good to advertise that people can lose weight. It should be a kind of a byproduct of feeling better from the exercise, all that sort of stuff. Is that something when someone comes to you, and I suppose we can transition a little bit into Barbells and Babiez here, but when people are coming to you, what are their goals? Is it like, are people still looking to lose weight after kind of having a baby, or what's the situation?
So I suppose in general, everybody wants to lose weight when they sign up to a coach. That's a normal response. You see the scale or you don't feel good in yourself. But for me, with the clients that I work with, everybody wants to lose weight, yes, but there's also an element of why you want to lose it. And it generally comes down to you've tried on a pair of jeans and you almost cried because you couldn't button them. You want to go out with your partner for the night, but you actually just don't feel confident in yourself putting on a dress. You don't want to get your legs out to wear a skirt. like you hate your arms and you have a wedding coming up. A lot of it comes down to what other people think of you and how you perceive yourself. So a lot of that I work with clients in Barbells and Babiez is developing their overall confidence, even regardless of the weight loss, like increasing your body confidence, increasing your love for exercise really as something that will make you feel better, boost your energy levels, just make you feel more put together. And again, that's another reason why a lot of mums come to me, and it's been said a lot during their progress. They feel more put together with Barbells and Babiez as a mother and as a person, just by spending some form of self-care and prioritizing themselves in a way. Because you can get so wrapped up in motherhood, and I have myself, that you lose a little part of yourself in it. And then one day you look in the mirror and you're like, who am I? Like, I don't remember even an element of the person I used to be. So again, that's another reason why a lot of women enjoy the program. They're prioritizing themselves in a small way each and every day to do something for them. That it really does benefit the whole family and everybody that's around you when you're your best self.
Such and I can obviously only come at it from the point of view of a dad. Your life changes so much, and
Yeah.
I remember my brother saying to me, the only question you'll ask yourself is what you did with all your free time, and it's so true. Like you're 24/7 a parent, and that's the role you kind of fall into, and obviously that can take different forms. You're kind of worrying about how you provide. You're worried about like that they're eating well, any sicknesses, illnesses that come up. It is such a new role to take on, and as much as advice people might give you or force on you, or as much preparation as you think you might have beforehand, it's just a different world. Especially not even especially, but like you're thrown into the very much the deep end in the first 6 weeks, and if you can come 100%. Out of that, if you can come out of that just feeling 20% of a human, you can build from there. It's such a change in life.
Yeah, 100%. And even like the sleep deprivation on its own, and even on a couple, like a lot of clients have said that when they started the program, they felt it actually benefited their overall relationship because they were happier. And like I know myself, even with my partner, when he comes home in the evenings, he would know if I have not done some form of self-care during the day for myself, because I just wouldn't be in the same good form as I am when I've gotten in a short workout or I've actually eaten 3 meals during the day that were for me. Because you get so wrapped up in like cooking for a child, you're minding them during the day and their needs always come first. It's just a given as a parent, yourself. Like it's prepping their breakfast before you have your own. Things like that all add up, that by the end of the day, you can just feel like, Jesus, what have I done today for myself? Like absolutely nothing. I'm still in my pajamas.
Yeah, I can get there. I mean, even like this isn't really an example of what you're talking about, but like as an example to anybody who's out there, we're nearly 2 years in, and this morning after a reasonable enough night, not amazing, but a reasonable enough night, I came down, made toast for our little one, and got out a plate, and then 60 seconds later, just before the toast popped, I went to get another plate. Like just completely forgotten. Your brain can absolutely turn to mush, and if you don't,
honest to God,
if you don't mind yourself, and that's more like physically, mentally, all that sort of stuff. As you said, you can get to the end of the day, weeks, months, like and you've put your complete and utter life on hold. I talked about even before we had the child. The reason I was exercising was for literally my mood and my like. Not even so much. People would always talk about the endorphins after a great workout. My one was I'd know the opposite way in like a day or two if I hadn't done something like similar to like yourself with your partner coming home.
100%.
So when you like, as we were kind of talking about it, like people want to come and want to lose weight, and it's kind of working surreptitiously maybe to try and improve their confidence. It like, what are the biggest problems people like? What are the biggest problems people face when they come to? Is it I need help in structuring my time with nutrition? What are people looking for help with?
I suppose it's very different because every woman is kind of on their own journey through motherhood, and every woman, I suppose, adapts to it differently. I have noticed that, like, since COVID, post-COVID, a lot of women are coming for accountants portability, or support and accountability.
Yeah.
But it's, I'm up since 5 a.m. now when I get that mixed up. A lot of women are coming for support and the accountability there, but they're also coming with a level of anxiety that possibly wasn't there pre-COVID. Anxiety around body image, anxiety around like trying to structure everything, because social media gives us this impression that women and mothers have it all so together, and you can, work out in the gym 4 days a week. You can eat all your meals very well prepped and you're very organized, and you can still have a great balance of a life. And it's very different for every single woman. It depends on your childcare, depends on the support you have around you. A lot of couples, their husband is working elsewhere Monday to Friday, so they're the sole parent provider, and saying I'll go to the gym 4 days a week just might not be achievable. Like, it depends on the week. So through the programs, I do structure weekly, and we restructure that you learn how to fit it into your life. So, for example, with some women, they could go to the gym possibly 2 days this week because they have childcare, and then the following week they might have none. So then we have to adapt the program to suit them. And that's, I suppose, what I kind of pride myself on with Barbells and Babiez. It's all personalized for each client. I like to work with each client individually and make sure that when they come off a program, they know, okay, so this week I have no childcare, kids are sick, and what can I actually fit in? And it might just be 20-minute home workouts that week until you can return to your normal workout routine. So I suppose it's learning as well to be kind to yourself, and that it's not an all or nothing approach with your health and fitness. It would be great if we could all commit to 5 days a week at the gym, but realistically, is it going to happen with children? Probably not.
I know that, yeah. I'm really like you've kind of just described a little bit about your service, but it's really, as you go through it, it's why we really wanted to work with you on the Gym Advisors, because individualized, no, definitely, like individualized, deals with a market that probably is underserved anyway, like, because people really need the support, and just that adaptability of, like, I've talked about it on the podcast a little bit before, but that idea that if you are looking at having a bad week, having had it or going into it, those are the weeks that you, Julianne, earn your money, because you're the one who's kind of I've had a bad week. How do we readjust? How do we plan this next week out? Like, if someone was doing that on their own, they've had a bad week, they might either fling themselves into it and go too hard, and then they've burnt themselves out or injured themselves or whatever it might be. Having somebody who you're comfortable talking to on your bad weeks, and building that relationship and having an individualized plan is so important. And again, why we really wanted to work with yourself. It's a really interesting, apart from the name being so unique, it's an interesting way of working. You know yourself, there's so much generic nonsense bullshit out there, particularly when someone is in a position like the people you're working with, who are time poor, looking for some help. They'll happily, they might not happily, but they'll fork out a load of money maybe they can't afford, and all of a sudden they're left with this generic plan that they've no accountability, no support. I'm really interested in terms of your online offering, because that's what you do. You talked about being in rural Ireland, similar enough to myself. How do you find the online work? You're working with people from all over the country.
Yes, and abroad at the moment as well. So it's been, I actually never even thought of going in person, to be
Yeah.
honest, for the client group that I work with, because online from me, they get so much more than I could give them in 1 hour gym session in the gym each week. Like there's so many features added to the program, including like recipes of the week. The Facebook group is so interactive and extra trainings uploaded to that. You have one-to-one calls with me each week. So like from a point of view of in person and online, I felt online just suited better for mums in general. Like a lot
Definitely.
of the time, if you were in a gym space, especially for newly postpartum mums, it's actually really hard confidence wise to build up to getting there. So they all start out at home first to build up their confidence to get back in the gym. Um, and that makes a huge difference. There's also things that they talk about to me on the phone that they would rather not say in a gym, such as
Yeah.
about pelvic floor prolapse is a big one. I've definitely noticed an increase in that occurring postpartum for women. So, like your rehab end of it for a prolapse, especially returning to weightlifting, is so much different than if you had like a vaginal birth and you had no tearing, it was seam free. And you have to work up to that. So for online, it just really suits mums and really suits women in general. It means you can work around the kids and you can do it from at home or you can use a gym program. It's whatever, I suit whatever works for each woman.
And that again, it's the beauty of online coaching, is that someone like yourself, and all the good coaches on the gym advisors, which is all of them, thank God. That's why we have the admittance policy. But everything from an online side of things works towards what you have available to yourself. And obviously your niches suits that incredibly well. Just having even if it's 20 minutes, half an hour, whatever you can fit in, it's a great way of working for that market.
Yeah.
Okay, just before we wrap up here, then, Julianne, what can a new client comes to you, either the gym advisors or Instagram, or we'll get to where people can find you in a wee while, but they come to you, when they've signed up, what can they expect?
So normally on a consultation call with me, I always establish with clients their unachievable goals, the goals that they think are well out of reach for them. And I look at it from three different aspects, like a physical aspect, emotional, and mental. And for the program, we structure that in to get them goals in an achievable manner, obviously, but that's the main focus of the program. So from me, what clients get is a personalized program. It's all personalized for them. Nutrition, exercise, pain management is also a huge element because I am a pain nurse as well. So
Brilliant.
They get,
how have we
that
got this
well.
far in?
I actually forgot to mention that.
That's amazing. Jeez, you've really got all the bases covered that way.
Oh, well, definitely with postpartum and even during pregnancy, pain management is a huge aspect to cover. And it's a huge thing that you can actually self-manage yourself with different strategies, different functional training, stretching. And if that is an issue, if pain is a concern with clients, I always do a full assessment for pain through the consultation and then work that into their plan. But the main thing that clients get from me really is that one-to-one support, that accountability that we all need at some point. And you can say you'll get it from your partner, or you'll download an app that's €20 a month and you'll start and you might stick with it. But then, as you mentioned, the tough week comes where everything goes to shit and you either give up, you say, no, what's the point? I can't fit it in. I'm too busy. Kids are sick. Or you go too hard at it, then get sore, get injured, and then it turns you off for life. So it's getting that balance with women. And I suppose that's what I do love about my job is it is very one-to-one. I get to know my clients really well. I get to know their kids, their husbands for reasons I shouldn't know about.
I won't dive any deeper into that. In terms of, you also mentioned actually before that you have a Facebook group as well, which is like we've always found when they're done well. You've also got the one-to-ones that you're doing check-ins and etc. But to having people see other people getting a bit of success that are a little bit further down the line, and just having that outlet for kind of something, a positive place to resort to on social media, which is a rare enough place.
Oh yeah, 100%. It makes such a difference. Like, and the women in the group have often said to me, even on check-ins, God, I didn't actually realise anybody else had that problem, or until they mentioned it in the group, I didn't actually think anybody else struggled with that. I thought it was just me. And I think that's what I like about it too, to keep it all women. It's just women. They're comfortable to ask questions that they probably wouldn't in a mixed group about cycle changes and mum life and struggles about it. They probably wouldn't mention it in a group, which I probably wouldn't either. I totally get that.
No, that's incredible. And just even one last on your talk about the support network around you. You can have your partners, your friends, your family. They can be very soft on you, so they can be very. I'll take today off. You'll be fine. And sometimes that's what you need. But the coach kind of comes at it a little bit dispassionately, where it's like, okay, today we need to do something, or we can work. Here's how we're going to work around whatever the problem is. So there's definitely the value of someone outside of your kind of friends and family. Like initially, your friends and family network is invaluable. I want to go. Yeah. This has been far too positive, Julianne. I want to ask you a question. What is your biggest gripe with the industry? What's your biggest? What would you complain about? What do you see and you're like, not this again? Or what are people doing that you're like, for fuck's sake?
Oh God. I have a lot of gripes now. I'm not a total positive person all the time. I would say is with postpartum women pushing too much too soon. So returning to HIIT classes, running, like things that I wouldn't recommend, or things that you probably shouldn't return to, for a phased return to it. That would be a huge issue for me. And then I suppose the second issue isn't actually isn't with the fitness industry as such. It's with women's health in general, I suppose. I do feel so strongly about women being heard, and especially during pregnancy and postpartum. I feel it's so important that they feel supported and they're getting the guidance that they need. And I do feel a lot of women that come to me say they've tried to like talk this out, or they've tried to ask someone for help and they haven't gotten the help, and they come to me then and I'm like, oh my God, you need the help. Like, you need support for this. Like, there's medical issues that need support. And I suppose maybe they're slightly afraid in asking for the help. But then once they're in Barbells and Babiez, they're that more confident that that's also part of their program. I have to go and look about this. I have to make sure that I am heard as a female and as a pregnant, or postpartum, that I'm heard and these things are looked into, because outside of carrying a baby and the baby's health, you're still a person too that requires help along your whole journey, from pre-baby to pregnant to postpartum to as a mother. You need help the whole way through. It's the same really with postpartum. There are things that are considered normal postpartum, like complications that occur, and sometimes they are downplayed as, oh yeah, that's fine, like that always happens. But then 6 months down the line, it's still happening. And it's still not looked about because that's totally normal. And then when they come to me, I'm like, no, this shouldn't be happening you now. Like, at this point postpartum, it needs to be something that's looked into. And I suppose it does give women that confidence then to say, actually, yeah, she's right. Like
Yeah.
I do need support about this. So I suppose it's not an easy thing to say, especially I am a nurse before, so I understand how overrun the health system is. But for pregnant and postpartum women, like, they're providing future to our country. They're providing more life to the country. And it's really so important to look after these women and look after them throughout their life, not just while they're carrying a baby and the 6 weeks postpartum. There's still a lot of complications that can cause problems further down the line as you get older. So when they're sorted quick and efficiently, it makes all the difference.
It makes all the difference, just even in terms of like the health service will be a little bit less clogged up than if they were to kind of carry out these, or
100%, yeah.
Not so much early intervention, but early help, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, that was my negative part of the day. Or asking a negative question at least. What is your not even about the industry. I want to know your personal preference here. What is your favorite part of your job?
The favorite part of my job is the check-ins with clients. That's my favorite part over everything, because I feel like that's where I get to know the client, and that's where the client tells me things that they won't write on a progress form, that they haven't written on a consultation form, but they would tell me on a call.
Yeah.
And that's, I suppose, where they learn to grow, and they learn different insights into how they will plan out their week, even stress management wise, your structure, avoiding the stress and overwhelm. That's my favourite part. And I love, as calls go on, I can actually just see clients change, not only physically, but mentally. Their mood will be brighter on the phone, on calls with me. And I love when I can see that as well, that you can just see women happier in themselves, and like they're like, oh, I was looking forward to your call, I have great news this week, things like that. Yeah, that's my favourite part, I think.
Savage. I always return to a previous episode. It was a guy, Keith from Custom Fitness, and he said, like, being a good personal trainer, it's like being at the good part of a superhero movie every time, where someone like turns in, like has gone from one point to the point where they're just becoming a superhero all the time, and it's a nice place to live when you're seeing people always improve and things like that. It's really cool.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So finally, before we wrap up, Julianne, we have a playlist that has remained dormant for far too long. I want you to add 3 songs.
Oh God, you're going to regret this.
We have everything on there, so don't you worry. I want you to add 3 songs that we can add to our playlist on Spotify.
Perfect. Do you want me to list them out?
Go on, give us number 1.
Oh, well, there has to be a 90s one in there, because I can't miss a bit of 90s. So I'm going to add a bit of Bewitched on there with C'est La Vie.
I hadn't heard C'est La Vie in years, and it came on something yesterday, and I absolutely loved it. I was like, what a bop.
Yeah.
Class. Second one.
The second one is equally as bad, but I love it. Shania Twain, Man, I Feel Like a Woman.
You've got an era at least, anyway. I feel like these are around the place.
But I will say my final song is, well, it actually still is the era. What am I on about? It's
Go on,
Notorious.
give it to us. Okay, it's a era, but it's a different genre, so I love it.
That is absolutely my son's. It is literally my son's favorite song. He absolutely loves it, and like, it's totally not age appropriate, but he loves it. So yeah, that's played every single day in the house.
I kind of feel like there's an age before age appropriate matters. Like, you can have music on and watch films or whatever, and they're not too pushed. Even like Frozen is 6+, and our 2-year-old loves it, so it's kind of like, okay, there you go.
Frozen, yes. Anything Disney this day is anything Disney is very popular. Yeah, unfortunately 100%. For the parents.
Yeah, and so I wouldn't mind if there was a bit of selection, but Jesus, she just goes back to the same
Repeat.
One over and over again. Yeah. And she's only 2, so like if she's only meant to start watching it at 6, we have until Another 8 years of it, probably. I don't know.
Another 8 years of watching the same movie, Andy. You'll love it.
I can't wait. I can't wait for every minute of it. Julianne, this has been an absolute pleasure. Last thing to do then is to let people know where they can find you. Obviously, they can find you on the gymadvisors.ie, but also social media, all that sort of stuff. Where can people find you?
They can find me on my most haunted spot at this point is Instagram, and it's at Barbells and Babies. Barbells and Babiez.
It'll be in the show description, I wanted to make sure people got there. Julianne, this is an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for your time, and we'll talk to you soon.
Oh, perfect. Thanks so much, Andy, for having me on.
No problem. Have to do it again soon. You might be the next episode at this rate. We've been dormant for so long. To the rest of you, though, hasta la fitness, baby.